Luke didn't often have time to think about his life as an Imperial citizen. Between undercover missions on the Empire's manufacturing worlds, like the weapons plant on Moon 1, and duels with some of the most terrifying lightsaber combatants in the galaxy, like Sergeant Creel, Skywalker had his hands full. And that's probably why he never stopped to think about the consequences for the destruction of the first Death Star. After all, it was his fateful shot that destroyed the moon-sized Imperial station. But while serving on a rebel mission alongside his frequent partner, Han Solo, Skywalker was shocked to discover that he had a bounty on his head. How much was it? And was it bigger than Solo's? That's today's underrated moment. It had only been a few weeks since Luke slipped the orange and beige Rebel fighter's helmet onto his head and took off with a squadron of X-Wings on a daring mission to destroy the Death Star before it took a world-destroying shot at Yavin 4. While the Rebels had scored a surprise victory at the battle, with Luke's famous missile bringing an explosive end to Emperor Palpatine's pet project, the rebellion was far from complete. There were 1,000 more weapons just like the Death Star spread across the galaxy. Every Star Destroyer in the Imperial fleet was strong enough to compel entire star systems to bow to the Imperial crown. With their complementary force of TIE fighters and strategic bombers, taking down the Imperial Navy was a tall task, and the rebel leadership of Leia, Han, and Luke had their work cut out for them. But in the weeks after the Battle of Yavin, the rebels had bigger things to worry about, like money. Because, by the look of things, they were running out of it at an alarming rate and would be cash poor in a matter of weeks. Desperate to keep their fledgling rebellion alive after the thrashing they received at the Battle of Rogus Vas, where Darth Vader single-handedly killed over 1,000 rebel soldiers, Princess Leia and the Alliance Council put their faith in Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. Scraping together the last of their credits, the Alliance tasked Solo and Luke with purchasing much-needed supplies for their guerrilla army. But there was a problem. Solo gambled it all away. "Run, Luke! Run for your life!" Solo screamed as he dragged Luke away by his hand. Han had been in this situation before, many times before. While just a boy on the streets of Corellia, he and his first love Kira regularly ventured to the illegal sabacc tables and tried their luck at hustling the off-world aliens who were visiting for smuggling runs. But this was all new territory for Luke. Skywalker was happy to fight for the rebellion. He was more than willing to stick his neck on the line to rid the galaxy of Palpatine and Vader's evil regime. But he couldn't quite see the point in recklessly wasting the rebels' ever-decreasing funds on a foolish game of chance. But Solo was older than him by at least a decade. On the desert dunes of Tatooine, a teenager like Luke was supposed to sit down and shut up when in the presence of the older, more mature boys who had already been off-world and experienced the galaxy. But as the hero of the first Battle of Yavin, Luke couldn't take it anymore. As the pair approached the ramp to the Millennium Falcon, Luke stopped and looked back. "We can't leave, we gotta go back for the money!" It took every ounce of power in Solo's voice to impart the urgency of the situation on his younger partner for this mission. "You go back?" he shouted as his ribs heaved in and out, desperately retrieving air so he could sprint a bit further. "And you're dead! Get on the ship!" Feeling the need to listen to his senior in this scenario, Luke quickly spun his heels and jumped on board. While the Millennium Falcon's blue ion engines turned over and thrust the Corellian freighter towards the upper atmosphere, Luke felt that he had to, yet again, air his grievances. "This is a disaster. They're gonna kick us out of the rebellion for this. How am I ever gonna explain this to Leia?" Solo was used to breaking the rules, and he was used to being punished, whether it was the rebellion with its haughty council or Lady Proxima and the White Worms back in the sewers of his homeworld's industrial district. He didn't much care for authority figures who tried to bully him into conforming. Luke, for his part, saw the situation from a completely different point of view. His entire life was destroyed the day he met Obi-Wan Kenobi. His aunt and uncle had been burned alive, and the greatest burden a boy could receive, the need to live up to their father's great achievements, was thrust upon him in the form of Anakin's blue lightsaber in Kenobi's ancient tales. And now, because Solo wanted some cheap thrills in a local cantina, Luke felt his purpose was in jeopardy. Without Kenobi, serving the Rebel Alliance was the only thing keeping him on his path to becoming a Jedi. Would Solo's latest mistake get him demoted, or worse, expelled? But Solo was tired of hearing about all the ways he screwed up. "Look, kid," he growled, "you can't talk to me about money once you've got a price on your head." Solo liked to shut people up whenever he got the chance. He knew that flaunting as many bounties was a cheap trick to use in an argument. It was a trump card that won every time. The price on his head was a sign that he did not fear any consequences, even if they were damning for the Alliance. But at that moment, Luke revealed something. "I do have a price on my head," Luke said as he sighed and his chin dipped towards the ground. "Leia tells me it's 60,000 credits." Solo gasped. 60,000? But that's more than my bounty! Luke was a brave young boy, but he was also foolish. He was so eager to prove himself to the rebellion and help rid the galaxy of Imperial soldiers and their atrocities that he forgot that there were many other ways he could die, other than being sliced in half with Vader's crimson red blade. To Skywalker, death in battle didn't even seem to be that scary. In one moment, you were fighting alongside friends who were close enough to be considered family, and in the next, you were gone, a hero that had sacrificed his life to the cause. But being tracked by bounty hunters was something different altogether. Skywalker was quickly realizing that the daring missions that the life of a rebel soldier wasn't limited to the daring missions that pumped him full of adrenaline. With a bounty of 60,000 credits on his head, every hunter in the galaxy would be looking for him, which meant that even in victory, Luke could never allow himself to rest.